Our wildlife experts here on The One Show have been kept really busy monitoring the effects the floods have had on wildlife. David Lindo's been to Gloucestershire for us to see what devastation was wreaked by the floods there on all creatures, great and small.
Just less than 10 days ago, this whole area suffered from the worst floods seen in modern times. Its power and strength was immense. We've all seen images of the suffering and destruction that the people of this region have gone through. But what is less well known is the fate of thousands of the animals that live in this area. Badgers were amongst the hardest hit. Their sets were little defence against the rising water. Tony Dean has been monitoring the badgers in Gloucester for over 30 years, and he's never witnessed anything like the devastation seen on this scale.
Looking down, you can see the debris hanging on the barbed wire fence there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That would have flooded this at 3-4 foot deep. No sign of it now, but it's done its damage.
Yeah. The set's entrances actually suck the floodwater into their homes.
You see where the water has dragged all these bottles into it.
Right.
Just like a plug.
So when this was underwater, how would they have reacted to this? Could they have swam away? Or
They can swim a short distance, but I would imagine that a lot of them would have almost certainly perished. I would have thought 90% of badgers in this set would have perished.
So we're standing on top of a badger grave at the moment?
Yes, almost certainly. I feel very, very sad where I'm stood here at the moment. Hopefully they'll come back somewhere or other and dig out again and recolonise somewhere.
Yeah. A few ground dwellers, such as foxes, were fast enough to escape the floodwater, but many other animals just couldn't. Here at the Vale Wildlife Rescue Centre, they had their own floods to contend with. But on top of that, they had a huge influx of animals that were abandoned, waterlogged and injured. Colin Hewitt was working at the centre during the height of the flooding. In the 10 days since the flood, the centre has been inundated with over 450 animals, which have been abandoned, orphaned, their homes washed out, or simply found starving, unable to find food. Slow-moving animals, like hedgehogs, were especially vulnerable. This 2-week-old was found orphaned. Colin and his team have to administer 24-hour care to nurse them back to full health. Obviously the floods hit everyone in this region very, very hard. I mean, how did you deal with it?
We were completely cut off. Our drive was about waist deep with water, so any animals that were brought in, we had to tell the people to wait at the top of the drive, and we had to wade out in wetsuits just to get the animals in.
Yeah. How long do you think it would take for the wildlife to recover?
To recover completely, I would imagine it's going to be a few years to get the numbers back to where we were before.
But it's not all been bad news. Martin Brooks, who runs the centre, took in a young buzzard at the height of the floods, which was found starving and very weak. He has cared for him for the last 2 weeks, and today he's hoping to release him back into the wild. Buzzards are magnificent birds of prey. I absolutely love them. They are now the most common bird of prey in Britain, even more common than kestrels. So we're going to check this one out now.
I'll pop them in the box.
So why was this buzzard found in the condition it was?
Most of his territory, his feeding area, was underwater.
Yeah.
So what would have been his natural food source, even in hard times, a buzzard would go down onto the ground and pick up bugs and insects, earthworms and that sort of thing. But all of that was submerged, so just no food.
So his chances now?
I should think are very good, because there's going to be, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of wildlife that hasn't made it, so there will be carcasses on the ground.
Right.
He'll soar up in the air and spot those and come down and feed.
Oh, great. Well, let's see him take off and do that.
OK, we'll get him to the site.
Buzzards are extremely territorial, so Martin has returned to the same spot where the bird was found. It all looks very different from just 2 weeks ago, when the whole area was underwater. Martin hopes that this is just the first of the 400 or so releases, as the rescue centre staff focus on the other flood victims.
The One Show's birdman David Lindo.